but one that I could connect to was actually a torturer. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten, and today we are doing the mid-year book freakout tag. This is a tag that's been going around YouTube for years and I really enjoy doing it. It's just a way to check in with some of your favourite books, what you've been up to, what you've loved, hated, disappointed. It's a fun tag. I have changed mine slightly. I don't do all 12 of the questions. I cherry picked the questions that I really like and then added in a couple of extras. But I've done it this way for the last couple years now. Let's get on with the tag. So the first thing I like to track, and I think is in the original, is the books that you've read this year. So I have read 66 books, not including DNFs and not including the fact that I'm in the middle of 4 books currently. So the day that I'm filming this is the 16th of June. So as of now, 66 books read, although 4 will be being finished in the next few days. So pages read, I have done 23,496 pages. I set a goal on Goodreads to read 100 books a year, but I don't actually set a goal on the amount of books I want to read per year. I'm very much more interested in the quality of the books that I'm reading rather than quantity. It just so happens that I have very few obligations outside of work, so I have loads of time on my hands to sit down and read. For me, being able to read this much is amazing, but it's not something that I set out with the intention of, oh, I need to read this amount of books per year, which I know a lot of people like doing, and if you're one of those, that's amazing. But at the same time, I don't want to put that sort of pressure on myself. If I only read 70 books in 1 year, I'm not going to complain about it at the end of the day. As long as I'm reading books that I'm enjoying, I'm not so worried about the number. But it's always fun to track anyway. And one that I add in is the amount of books hauled. I do have a bit of a book buying problem. I am trying to calm down with it. So far, I haven't bought any books for the last, I think it's like 20 days, which is really good for me. That shows extreme self-control for me. But in all honesty, I have hauled 92 new books. Not all of these books were new to my TBR. Some of them have replaced old copies, but yeah, 92 books. If I actually took the time to work out how many of those added to my TBR, I could tell you whether I've hauled more books than I've read from my TBR, but I did not take the time to do that. As it stands, I have definitely hauled more than I've read this year. Let's get into the rest of the tags, starting off with the best book I've read so far this year, and that is 100%, hands down, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. I love this book so much. It was everything that I wanted it to be. It is a light academia book, so it's a cozy fantasy. We're following Emily, and she is trying to create the world's first encyclopedia of fairies. In this world, fairies are very much considered, yep, they're real. We have whole university sections dedicated to the study of them, and Emily is foremost in her field and she wants to create this encyclopedia. Part of that brings her to this remote, I think is it Nordic part of the world, where she's trying to find these very elusive beings that would be the first time they've ever been recorded. And this is her diaries, like it's set up as a journal entry format, which I really like, and you have little footnotes that she does mentions of other books where she's got her information from. It's scientific in the way that fairies are, the folklore that they've been pulled from, so I'm enjoying all of that. Just in general, the journal formatting of this I really enjoy. But alongside all of this, you do have a bit of a love blossoming. We have Emily's co-worker, colleague, Wendell, and she doesn't really get on with him. She finds that he far too easy. Everything's far too easy for him. She has theories about him that she wants to try and prove, and you're seeing their relationship grow from being prickly colleagues to maybe more than that, and it's just really, really fun. It was such a joy to read. Like, this has been my favourite book. It's going to be a comfort read, and there is a new book coming out, I believe, at the start of next year, and can guarantee I will be getting that as soon as it's published. This was such a treat to read this year. The next question is the best sequel so far this year, and well, I've just filmed my series I'm in the middle of video, and I can honestly say I have not read many sequels this year at all. Managed to start loads of books, but no sequels. Apart from just a couple, and I mean a handful. So the best out of those for me was Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. This is the third book in the Diviner series, and I loved this one. It was brilliant, fantastic, the plot twists were amazing. This is a series where we're following a group of characters in New York City in the 1920s, so you've got the Jazz Age going on. But this series also focuses on the realities that come with being in that age, so the racism that's involved with with not just with black people but also with Chinese people and how they're treated. We do also have magic in here, and it's very like occult based murders that have happened that our main characters get caught up in, and some of these main characters have extra abilities, like one of them has the ability to divine things that have happened from objects that she touches. One has ability of fire. There's a lot going on, and they end up with this kind of like found family trope that get thrust together trying to solve these things that are happening, which from the first book has just grown bigger and bigger. This was brilliant. I ate it up in a few sit-ins. It was a fantastic read. Definitely my favourite sequel I've read this year. Unfortunately, that brings us to the next question, which is the biggest disappointment, and for me that was actually The King of Crows. Now there's a couple of books that I could have done for this tag. I could have done DNFs that I've had that I was disappointed by. I could have done multiple different things, to be fair. But I think for me, the biggest disappointment was the conclusion to this series. So The King of Crows is the fourth and final book in this series. And I feel like this should have just been a trilogy, because about 80% of this book is just drawn out for no reason, and it's frustrating. So I was so disappointed, because after coming off the back of Before the Devil Breaks You, I read this one like within a couple weeks, and I was so excited, and I read it and I was so let down. I mean, by no means was this the worst book I've read this year, but that's not the question. It's what's the most disappointing, and for me that was this. So yeah, which was a shame, unfortunately. Okay, a book that made me cry. I actually haven't had one this year, which is surprising. Normally I cry at books quite a lot. Well, I wouldn't say loads, but there's been a few books which has 100% made me sob my heart out, and I haven't had it this year. However, one that did almost get me there is The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence, and this is a book that you would have seen cropping up here and there, but not actually heard me talking about fully. I have a video that's coming out in July, towards the end of July, that will be talking about this book. But safe to say, there was a particular scene in here that really did get to me, and I was like, no, it was so sad, and I was like, oh, I can't believe this. And it didn't make me cry, but it was close, and probably the closest book to getting me to cry this year. So yeah, this is a great book. We're set in this library, we're following two main characters, and they are both involved in this library in different ways. We have a really interesting world that's been set up for us. Whenever I have been mentioning this book, I've been very vague. I think I'll just give you the back of this, which is all books, no matter their binding, will fall to dust. The stories they carry may last longer. They might outlive the paper, the library, even the language in which they were first written. The greatest story can reach the stars, and this is a book about books. I really enjoyed this, which is spoilers for the video that's coming, but it was a good time and it did almost make me cry. A book that made me happy, and honestly there's been a few, but I think the winner is Finley Donovan is Killing It. This is a book that made me laugh so damn much, like so much. I have never tabbed funny moments in a book before, and I run out of the tabs that I was using for it. It was so good. So we're following Finley Donovan, and she is a struggling writer. Life's been really hard. She's going through a divorce with a real douchebag of an ex-husband, and she's got kids that she's trying to look after and raise, and everything is just really hard work. But she goes off to this meeting with her editor. She is a mystery writer, and they're talking about the fact that she needs to kill this person off, and she feels like she's stuck in a rut. Someone overhears and mistakenly thinks that Finley is a hit woman and says, person's name, $50,000. And Finley's like, wait, what? No, I can't do this, but also 50,000? Tell me more. It was really funny. It was such a good time, and I have to thank Naomi for giving this one to me because it was brilliant. Definitely the funniest book I've read this year. Honestly, it was tied between this and Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies for my favourite book, but this fits so much better for a book that made me happy, because genuinely tears of laughter. Or maybe I should put that as the book that cried, because it was happy tears. But it was fantastic. It was so good. Then we have the most beautiful book that I have bought this year, and I'm pretty sure I bought it this year. Pretty sure it was this year. I should have double checked it, but that is God Killer by Hannah Kenner. This is a gorgeous book. This was a book that I was sort of interested in. Wasn't really going to go out of my way to get it. Was kind of thinking I'll wait until paperback. And then I saw this cover, which is all round absolutely gorgeous. And this isn't even a special edition. That's the thing that was mad about it. And then you have these gorgeous end pages. And it was these end pages that made me go, okay, well, that's coming home with me, because it was absolutely stunning, absolutely stunning. Considering it's not even a special edition, it is absolutely stunning. Like, I've seen ones where they've actually got stenciled edges. I think for just a standard copy, this was phenomenal, and I really enjoyed reading this one actually. So this is set in a world where there are gods and god killers, and we have a main character who is a god killer until she stumbles across this god that she can't kill because he's tied to a young girl. It's really interesting. I like all the concepts. I like having a perspective from a god as well as the god killer. It's so diverse in this that I really appreciated all the diversity, not just within the LGBTQ plus IA community, but also disability representation in here. Like, it was done so well, and it packs so much into such a little book, but it's a really good start to a series. Loved this, and beautiful, absolutely beautiful. There's been a couple of books that I could have chosen for this because there were a lot of beautiful books that I have purchased this year. Like, there's been loads, but I think God Killer for me really does like tick that box. It was beautiful. Okay, so then we have the question of new favourite author, which in all honesty I could put down as Heather Fawcett, Hannah Kenner, Ellie Cosmano, because all of these I really enjoyed and will definitely be picking up whatever they do next. Could also do a few other authors. The problem I have with this question is, for me, a new favourite author is someone that I've read multiple books of, and this year there isn't an author where I've read multiple of their works in one year unless it was a series, and that was like Holly Black's The Cruel Prince trilogy. I really enjoyed that. But would I say that she's a new favourite and I would read everything that she puts out? Question mark, actually, would I? Okay, let me do two for this. Oh no, but then I suppose... Okay, so Holly Black, I read... I'm holding up the second one because I only have the second one physically, but I read the Folk of the Air trilogy, which I ended up enjoying so much more than I thought I would. Like, I was putting this off for years because I thought, oh, it's not for me, it's just YA, it's just tropey, it's enemies to lovers, blah, blah, blah. No, this is really, really good. This is a political YA fantasy, and yes, there's enemies to lovers, but it is the slowest slow burn. It's great. However, Holly Black's technically not a new author to me because I've read some of her other books when I was younger. So like Tithe and some of her other ones, so it's not got a list of her other books, it's only got these ones. But I did enjoy this one a lot more than I thought, so I think it's reignited a love for Holly Black because I want to get her continuation series. So I have The Stolen Prince on my TBR and I will read that and continue with that. But then I don't want her adult fantasy series. Okay, so maybe I was right in sticking to what I stuck to. Point is that I generally only have favourites if I've read multiple of their books, because I feel like basing it on one book, you could just have a really good one book, and based on that I have loads of new favourite authors. But I've decided to go with a recent read, and that's R.S. Ford's Engines of Empire, mainly because I really loved this book. I want to get the second book, and I would be really, really intrigued to reading more of their work. They have two other series going on that I would be very intrigued by, so I actually want to read more. So I think... Oh my god, my camera battery's flashing up. No! Okay, we've swapped out the camera battery, so sorry if things look a tiny bit different. But yes, I was saying this book has sparked enough for me to now want to go out and try the rest of the series, not just finish this one, but also the other work. And I feel like this year, the other authors that I've read, while I would class as all their new favourites and I would read more of their work, Heather Fawcett's written other books, but I probably wouldn't pick them up because they're more like middle grade, so I'm not as interested. So it's things like that. I think R.S. Ford's the first one that I've gone, oh, this could be a new adult fantasy author that I'm really intrigued to read more of their work, and fingers crossed it holds up to this one. This was an adult fantasy steampunk vibes book and I really, really enjoyed it. We're following a collection of main characters that are all part of the same family that are within this empire that has kind of stated themselves as like, we're the most important and our religion is the most important, except their religion they've kind of shoved to one side now for alchemy instead. This sparks off a lot of problems with other places around this world, and honestly I wish this was longer than a duology because there's so much in here that can be explored. But part of that is another, I'm going to call it country, they have a lot darker religion. It's more what our empire classes as demonic, and you're starting to learn a bit about them as well as other races and cultures that this empire has been like, let's stomp on these people to get what we want, rather than taking the time to learn and understand them. I feel like there's a lot of context that you can pull from this that applies to our past history, and yeah, I thought it was really, really good. Highly, highly recommend this. It was fascinating to read. So looking forward to getting the second book and then continuing on with more of their work, because is an author that I haven't really heard anyone talking about before, but definitely an author that I'm now like going to be keeping my eye out for their work because I was so impressed with this one. And then the final question that we have is new favourite character, and again this was a hard one, so there are more questions of new favourite crush or new, okay, I can't remember them all because it's been a while. There are other questions in here. Now I don't really get book crushes or things like that, so I don't really answer those questions. So questions that for me, I don't have that sort of thing, I've taken off of this video, hence why it's modified slightly. A new favourite character for me, again, I could mention all the characters in all the books that I have just mentioned because I loved them. Like, they were brilliant. Finley Donovan is hilarious. Emily Wilde was somebody that I really connected to. Even the God Killer and everyone else that's in this book was fantastic. Like, there are so many characters that I have really enjoyed, but one that I found kind of oddly hilarious, could connect to, relate to, was actually a torturer, which I don't know what that says about me, but that is Glotter, and that's from the First Law trilogy. Now I'm holding up the third book. This is the one that I've borrowed from Eric, and I don't actually have physical copies of these books. But Glotter was a really good character. He is a torturer, he's been tortured himself, and just the way he talks is so down to earth. He hates stairs. He looks at stairs and just hates them, and it's hilarious because it's also kind of relatable in some ways, of like being in so much pain, being so fed up with things, and all you're like is, I just kind of want the world to burn at this point. And he's just so funny. He is so miserable and so dark. I love it. I love him as a character. I find him the most interesting character out of these books and out of the different characters that you get with this series. It is a grimdark series, it's an adult fantasy series. There is some magic in here, but it's not fully explained, and like I said, I need to read this third one. I really like him as a character. I think he's the most interesting and the most complex, which is why I'm enjoying him so much. Like, he doesn't feel two-dimensional. There is a lot to him. There is a lot of reasons why he does things. He even says, my reasons for doing things are crap reasons, but they're my reasons. And I like all of that. Like, he is not a good character by any means. Would I call it a new favourite? Probably not, but he's definitely been the most interesting character that I've read from. So there we have it for this video. Quite a short, quick video. It's nice to do them every so often, and you'll have to let me know. Pick a question out of here and answer it. Well, let me know. What is your new favourite book? What's been the biggest disappointment? Whatever question you feel like answering, let me know. I always enjoy these videos. I love watching other people's ones. It's just a fun time, a nice little check-in to say I'm halfway through the year and this is a little recap of those first 6 months. That's it for this video. So, thank you so much for watching. I think if you've made it this far, then let's put, I don't even know what emoji. Let's do something nature themed. Just pop a nature emoji down there. And yeah, we're gonna leave it there. So thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please do give it that thumbs up, subscribe and comment. Those 3 things are really helpful to helping this channel grow. Social media links, anyone I've mentioned, will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.